Welcome to day 7 of the 16 Days of Activism mini-series that I'm creating for ending violence against women and girls. And today I want to talk to you about the very common phrase of the most dangerous point in domestic abuse is when she tries to leave. And if you haven't heard that before, generally professionals talk about this, and women who have been through it know that it's the point of exit where risk will potentially increase significantly and that perpetrator's behaviour will escalate significantly. Why is that? Well, actually the answer to this is pretty simple. It's about lack of control for the perpetrator. When they have been abusing you and controlling you for a period of time where they've become accustomed to having complete control over your life, and because they thrive off power and control, and because it gives them a sense of importance, and it gives them that feeling of ultimate power over somebody else's life. If you eventually get to the point where you're like, I'm not dealing with this anymore, I cannot cope anymore, I'm going, this is a big shock to their system, and they're not going to have a realization. It's not going to be a light bulb moment where they're like, fuck, I've treated this person terribly and now they're going to leave me. Instead, what's going to happen is they're going to tighten the control, and they're going to escalate, and they're going to either become incredibly controlling and threatening and blackmailing and that kind of thing, or the violence is going to escalate out of control. What we see sometimes at that period of time is things like suicide threats, and some of you will have been through that, where you try to leave a really abusive person and then they start telling you they're going to kill themselves if you leave. That's an example of them almost like floundering and losing control, and so they are looking for a way to emotionally blackmail you and get you back under a form of control by saying, if you leave, I'm going to kill myself, and that's going to be your fault. So I suppose it depends very much on the typology of the perpetrator and the psychology of the perpetrator, whether they're just going to I don't really mean that, but whether they're going to, become more and more emotionally coercive, for example, or whether they will convince you you're mentally ill, or whether they will become extremely physically violent, or whether they will go into this guilt-tripping blackmail, I can't live without you, I'm really struggling, I will kill myself if you leave. There are so many reasons why it gets dangerous at the end of an abusive relationship, and when that woman is trying to leave. That escalates, I would say, only further if there's children involved. And so many women that follow me have been in that situation where they're trying to leave. They understand the escalation, but they also have to find a way of protecting their kids around this level of escalation as well. So really this comes down to them losing power and losing control. And you can usually get a fair sense of how each kind of perpetrator is going to escalate at that point. I think the main thing here is that I don't think that police and certain other professionals actually understand that. Well, no, maybe they do understand it, but maybe they're sort of erring on the side of it probably won't happen. He's probably not gonna kill her. He's probably not gonna beat her up. He's probably not gonna set the car on fire. So they're almost, I suppose the pressure on that woman is you should leave. Why aren't you leaving? Why are you still there? And it's well, have we considered the level of risk that she's going to be exposed to at this moment of leaving? And what are we putting in around her so that she's not dealing with that on her own?